Hey, Cougs, welcome back to the show. I'm excited for today's conversation because we are talking baseball, we're talking Pullman, and we're talking what the heck is it like to raise four children in Pullman, Washington. I'm
Four.
joined by our new-ish baseball coach, Nathan Choate. I'm so honored to have him on the show. First of all, Nathan, thank you so much for being here.
Kelsey, thanks for having me. Excited to be in Pullman, excited to talk about Pullman and Washington State and our baseball program and just Washington State in general.
Yeah, I was sharing off air that I at one point lived with a now former WSU baseball player's wife. So I was around the culture. I think it's one of those sports in Pullman that has just a really cool history and opportunity for people to come watch. And baseball is just fun. It's a fun game to watch. It's easy enough to understand what's going on. And I just think that we should talk more about it. But before we dive into that, Nathan, can you bring the people up to speed? How did you and your family end up in Pullman, Washington with no ties to the college prior to your job?
Yeah, I was working at Loyola Marymount University in Los Angeles, and I was at a recruiting event, and I got a phone call from Mitch Straub in the athletic department and asked if I would be interested in talking about the position here at Washington State. I said, yeah, let me talk to my wife. And I got home that night, talked to my wife about Washington State, and she looked up Pullman, and she asked me the one question she did ask me. She goes, "Hey, do you think you can win there?" And I said, "Yeah, I do think you can win there." And she said, "Yeah, I'm on board if that's what you think is best for us and as a family." And so at that point, the process started from there, and then was offered the job. My wife grew up in a college town. I went to Cal Poly in San Luis Obispo in California, which is a college town that really speaks to us as a family. Raising four kids in Los Angeles is a little difficult in today's world. Pullman has a lot of the values that I really value as a father. And so it has been a great transition for my family. My kids love it. They came here kicking and screaming, and it took a couple months, but they really have embraced the community, been a part of it, love the school district. It's been really, really a good fit for me and my family.
I think that's really cool. And I've said this a lot on the podcast and just in conversation with the landscape of all sports. That's all I'm going to say about that. But I think that the way WSU wins a lot of things is through its culture and like how we take care of each other and what makes WSU WSU and what makes Pullman Pullman. I think we lean on that and we focus on bringing in people who really believe in that bigger mission and vision of the area and what our college culture is. And it's cool to hear that that's what drew you in. Has that checked out in person now that you've been here for not quite a year?
Yeah, it really has. The people in the community, the people at the school, the alumni base have really embraced us and treated us like family. Sometimes when you come from the outside, meaning I didn't go to school here, it's a little hard. And I think people have really welcomed us with open arms. And so that really has been true, what you said, that people embrace you wanting to be a Coug. And I think the biggest thing in our recruiting that we're looking for is people that want to be here. I wanted to be here. My family wanted to be here. My assistants wanted to be here. And I think it's the same thing with our student athletes, identifying people that want to be a part of this community and be a part of this university. And so the alumni base is very passionate, especially the baseball alumni base. I'll
That's a
put it that
kind
way.
word.
Yeah, yes, they're very passionate, and I
Yeah.
understand why. There's a really rich history here in baseball, and they want to see us be successful. And so I feel that vibe, and I hear their voices loud and clear. But it really has been a good transition, and I really am happy to be the head coach here.
How you met your wife asked if you could win. You said yes. How do you know that? Like what was it about WSU, your skill set, the connection of the two that you felt like you had that opportunity?
Well, number one, they've done it in the past, right? The university had won quite a bit in its history. And then with the new facilities, we have a new locker room and coaches' offices, the BTO. It's an incredible facility. And so I knew the facilities were in place. And then it's about getting the right people in the building, right? And
Mhm.
people that want to be here and value this place and have the same values that we do. And you talk about culture. The number one part about culture is letting the right people in the building and locking the wrong people out of the building.
Yeah.
And so I really felt that we could do that here if we get the right people that want to be here, people that value it, even with the transfer portal and all the crazy things, like you said, in college
Mhm.
athletics. I think more than ever, you need to find people that want to be Cougs. And then that way, when it gets hard, they don't look for another path. they go, hey, I am a Coug. I was raised a Coug. This is where I want to be. And so they'll fight through a little bit more adversity. And so I felt like pretty strongly that that's how I coach. And I just felt it fit in well with the culture of the university. And like I said, so far that has been true. But I feel like if you can identify the right people and get them on the right path, you can win. And so, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's exciting. So, how has the season been so far? For those that haven't been paying attention, do you mind giving us a quick couple
Yeah.
updates on that and what we're looking like for the rest of the season?
Yep. Currently, we're speaking after our worst game of the season last night to Gonzaga. So, we're 7-14. We're right in the middle of the Pac-12 standings. We had a really good start to the season. The last couple weeks, we've been banged up with some injuries, so we're working through some stuff. But we were picked to do pretty poorly in conference, and right now we're in the middle of the pack. We have not made the conference tournament, and we're in line to do that. And so we have a good group of guys pulling in the right direction. It has been a good season so far. We're about halfway through, so we just need to finish it off the right way.
And how I this sounds not negative, but I feel like this is like your first pancake, you know? How do you build a team from here? What are some things you do strategy wise going into season's not over, but going into next season, how do you start to make some changes and adjustments and starting to build like really your team? Because you're also probably have some people that were given to you, some people you brought in. So what changes do you make moving forward?
The biggest thing is finding some areas where we maybe lack some depth. Like I said, we've had some injuries, and that's not an excuse. Every team has injuries, but I think we're lacking some depth in a couple positions where if somebody goes down, we have this type of player to step up in their absence. And so I think in the middle infield, making sure we have more middle infielders. There's some pitching things that I'd like to address in the off season and that kind of stuff. But as of right now, we have the group that we have. They're doing a good job. They're staying together. This time of year, it's easy to look ahead to summer ball for players, and the grind is kind of starting to wear on you a little bit for the players. And so just continue to keep them staying together, working hard and pulling in the same direction. But yeah, definitely identifying some of our needs in recruiting and where some areas we need to improve next year.
Yeah, for sure. How you said you played at Cal Poly. How was your transition from player to coaching, and how did you refine your coaching craft and find your Nathan version of coaching?
Yeah, I loved being a player, and when I was done playing, my mother told me I should be a coach, and I said absolutely not. That is the last thing I ever want to do is become a coach for a living. That's not what I want to do. So I actually got out of sports and just worked in private industry for a couple of years, and then had an opportunity to my high school coach kind of begged me to coach for a semester with him. And I was in between jobs, and I said, sure. And I'd substitute teach. And after about 2 months, I went, okay, wait a second. This is what I need to be doing. I have a lot of passion for this. I like working with young people. I just knew I didn't want to do it with parents being involved at the high school level. I wanted to do it at the college level. So at that point, I transitioned. My first job was at UC Irvine, and then kind of worked my way up from there. And I knew I wanted to be at the college level. So, like they always tell you, mom knows best, and she was right. She tried to give me a jump start on my career, but I wasn't listening at the time.
Has she come out to Pullman yet?
No, unfortunately, she passed away from
Oh, I'm
cancer
sorry
a
to
couple of
hear
years.
that.
Yeah, no, but
She'd be
she was
proud.
a big she's looking down for sure. She's definitely looking down and pretty proud.
Yeah, that's cool. I think, yeah, mom knows best. Caption of the episode.
Yes, yes,
I love
no
that.
doubt.
I, yeah, that's more often true than not. More than I'd like to admit. My mom's
Yes.
probably listening right now. So I think that another part of coaching too is baseball to me is unique in the sense it's also very much a mental game. There's the physicality as well, but what are some things you do to help support your team on that regard too? Because I feel like that you guys are really tested in that way.
Yeah, baseball is such a game built on failure and not getting what you want,
Yeah.
and you just have to keep moving forward. Much like life, right, where you don't always get what you want, you don't always get the job or the promotion or all of those types of things. And I think the biggest thing that we try to do with our guys is give them some perspective. I'm 46 years old, and I have life perspective. I've lost a parent and all of those types of things. And so when you think you're having a bad day, I always tell our guys, compared to what? Like, yeah, this stinks compared to what, right? Like, put it in perspective. And you're playing a game. It's supposed to be fun and enjoyable. It's easy to beat yourself down, but I do think as you get older, you get some perspective in life, and that allows you to respond the right way. I really don't care that our players fail. I do care that they respond, and I think those are lessons that they can take with them in life. Like, regardless of what happens, one day hopefully you're a father, a husband, a member of the community, and you're not always going to get what you want. How can you pour yourself into somebody else to make them feel better? Because in turn, it will make you feel better. And I think that's the best way to get out of ruts sometimes in life, is to pour yourself into other people. And so try to get our players to do that and pour themselves into each other when they're not necessarily getting what they want. Much easier said than done. But that's one of the things we really focus on, is trying to be a team player. And I think life would be better served if we had more team players right now.
Yeah, I agree. And I think you have an interesting perspective since you have that time outside of the baseball world. So I'm curious, what has baseball taught you about like life and your career and stuff? What lessons were you able to apply during that season for yourself?
Yeah, the biggest thing I think, coaching versus non-coaching, is you realize that at the end of the day, there's so many things that I can't control. Really, it's a joke that I say that we have 18, 19, 20-year-old kids running around with your paycheck, meaning, you get paid to win, right? And to run a program. There's so many things that you can't control as a coach that are out of your control. Really, you just try to instill some discipline. You try to put your players in the best position to be successful, much like as a parent. And then you sit back and you hope they make the right decisions and they do the right things. And at that point in time, you need to be pretty content, and you need to like the person that you look and see in the mirror, and know that you did everything possible to put those guys in the right position to be successful. And so there's just so many things out of your control. I'm at peace with that. I'm proud of the way that myself and our coaching staff coaches these young men. I think we do it the right way, and I can look in the mirror regardless of the result, and be pretty proud of the effort we're putting forth. So it's hard sometimes when you don't get what you want, when you put everything into it and you don't get a result that you want. But much as just as like as in life, that's the way it goes.
Yeah. I feel like Nathan, you're speaking to yesterday. You.
Yeah, there's no doubt. No, there's no doubt. We had a great day of preparation. Thought we were going to have a better game than we did, and it was our most poorly executed game of the season. But that's the way it goes. And I got up this morning, and believe it or not, the sun was out, and it was a new day. And you got to move forward.
Yeah. So I copy paste that to life. That's such a good takeaway. So I love that. Okay. I don't know if you're going to answer this, but I'm just curious. You may not. What
Yep.
are some superstitions? Your sport has a lot of them. So
Yes.
what are some that you either have on your own or the team has, if you're willing to share any of them?
Yeah. I like to break the myth, because people say baseball players are superstitious. I always tell them, no, we're just routine oriented. Baseball people are routine oriented. You want to be in a
Yeah.
routine, just like most people get up in the morning and they do this and then they do this and they do this. Baseball players are much the same way, but there are some things. When I go to make a mound visit, I never step on the foul line. I don't know why. It's an imaginary line that I just feel like if I step on it, I'm going to trip and fall. I always put my right stirrup, which is part of the uniform, on before my left. So there are some nuanced things that I do that are just a little quirky. And I know we have some players that do some quirky things. I couldn't list them all, but I can tell you we definitely have some characters that have some superstitions.
Yeah. Yeah, I just love how everyone has their own though. Like for me,
Yes.
being from Seattle, the one that comes to mind is Ichiro and the way he would go up to bat. It was like meticulous and it never changed. And it was like his little thing that he would do and he with his jersey. It was a whole thing.
Yes. Well, my wife will watch the game on stream when we're out of town, or she'll be listening to it on the radio. And if something's going well, she'll like not leave the room. Whatever room she's in, she just won't leave, because that's really having an impact on how we're doing in the game, whether what room she's sitting in. So it's always funny to me when she tells me those types of things. I'm like, really, Lori, that there's no impact on the game. You can go use the restroom in the third inning. You don't have to wait until that inning's over. So.
I love that she's committed too. That's
Oh,
awesome.
100%. Yeah.
That's cool. So, yeah, I mean, speaking of the Mariners, what are some major league ballparks that you've been to? What are some of your favorites that you visited?
I have been to Fenway Park. I've been to Yankee Stadium. I've been to Camden Yards, which might be my favorite in Baltimore. PNC Park in Pittsburgh. I might be getting the names wrong because they change
I know.
the sponsorship all the time of
Yeah.
the name of it. Wrigley Field is pretty incredible. I'm a Cubs fan, and
Classic.
so
Yeah.
yeah, that's classic. Um, is it AT&T Pac-Bell? What is the Giants? I don't even know what it's called.
Couldn't tell
But
you.
yeah, I've been to Safeco, Angels, Dodgers, D-backs. So been to quite a Coors Field where the Rockies play. So I've been to quite a few of them.
Yeah. Yeah. Is it is it a completely different experience sitting in there compared to the world that you're in, just like the dynamics and the name of the game?
Yeah, believe it or not, I don't watch a ton of baseball because when you're coaching, your mind is on every single pitch and possible scenarios. To the casual fan, baseball is boring. You sit back and you could talk in between pitches, and there's not a lot going on, and I understand that.
I've said that a
But
lot.
yes, yes. But when you're managing the game, when you're coaching the game from pitch to pitch, there's a million different things going on. And so when I watch a game, a lot of times I find myself watching it from where the manager is watching the game, and that's exhausting because you want to break. So I actually enjoy watching other sports because I can disengage a little bit more and just be a fan and sit back, and I don't analyze it like I would do if I was coaching. And so sometimes, believe it or not, I know the world doesn't believe this, but sports are intended for entertainment for people. I know that I know that emotions get really high and low on winning and losing, but it is supposed to be a getaway from reality and just an enjoyment in life. And so when I watch sports, I love football. I love watching Coach Dickert's team and watching Coug football. My son, who's 11 years old, has the jersey on, watching the game, the whole deal. So it's sometimes nice to watch other sports so you can kind of take a step back and disengage.
I've never thought about it that way, but that makes a ton of sense. It's kind of like this is a very different analogy, but if you buy a car and it's red, all of a sudden you see red cars everywhere. It's like you probably
Yep.
can't not turn that off.
It's very, very difficult to turn that off, and so it is nice to do things other than sports.
Yeah.
It is. There's other
Yeah.
things in my life that I enjoy doing other than sports. I know a lot of people in sports don't talk like that, but there's a whole lot of things in life to enjoy other than athletics.
Yeah. I'd love to hear a little more about your family. I didn't know this, but apparently your son is a bat boy this season too. Is that true?
Yeah, so I have a 13-year-old daughter, 11-year-old son, 8-year-old daughter, and a 6-year-old daughter. So 3 girls and a boy. We are outnumbered in my house. When we moved here, my son asked if he was going to get to be the bat boy for the Cougs, and I told him there's a test that he's going to have to pass. And so he learned a lot about the program, and he had a little tryout in October, and he was hustling all over the place and has gotten to know the players and knows their names and all of their stats and all of those types of things. And so it really is a family thing for us. I'm gone so much. Having him in the dugout is a pretty cool thing. My he loves baseball, and it's not something that I've ever pushed on him. He loves sports. I want all of my kids to find something that they're passionate about. My daughter plays the flute. I think it's awesome. I love going to her concerts. That's her passion. I don't necessarily care what it is that they're passionate about. I just want them to find something they love to do and pursue it. My son has the bug of sports. That's his thing, and so we do connect when he gets to be in the dugout for our games.
That's what a special experience. I think that's really cool. What else
Yeah,
has your family found to enjoy in being in Pullman?
being outside. The
Cool.
first 3 days when we moved here in the summer is 2 or 3 days. I get a knock on the door, and it's a kid in the neighborhood my son's age, and said, "Hey, my son's name is Chance. Hey, can Chance come out and play?" And I said, "Sure." And he just takes off, and they were gone for a couple hours. And my wife comes home and she goes, "Hey, where's Chance?" I'm like, "I don't know. He's playing with some kid in the neighborhood." And she goes, "Who?" And I said, "I don't know." She's like, "Well, whose house is he at?" I'm like, "I don't know." She goes,
That
"Well, yeah." She's like, "When is he going to be home?" I'm like, "I don't know. We're in Pullman. This is one of the reasons we moved here. This isn't LA where you have to like have your kids in sight all the time."
yeah.
So I just think going to the park and being outside and playing with the kids in the neighborhood and watching kids ride bikes like I used to when I was a young kid. They go trade baseball cards and they go to birthday parties, and it's a really neat way to grow up as kids. And so I think just being a part of the community and all the things that the community has to offer, that's been really one of my favorite things.
That's really cool. I love that. Well, I told you this would go fast. And now
Yeah.
we're entering the chapter of Kelsey rapid fire questions. These are fresh off the press. You're the first to
Okay.
answer these series. There's 5 of them. And the
Okay.
point is kind of just whatever quickly comes to mind is your answer. So I'm going to go
Okay.
ahead and kick us off. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay. First one. If you weren't a baseball coach, what would you be doing?
I would be a sixth grade PE teacher.
Is that what you were before?
No, no.
Oh,
I
okay.
always thought it was neat. It was right before high school where kids that don't like PE, kind of fight you. When you're sixth and seventh grade, everybody likes PE. It's better than being in class. So I don't know. You asked me, that was the first thing that came to mind. I don't know.
I love it. No, it's great. I think it's
Yeah.
awesome. Okay, number 2. Where is the best place to celebrate a win in Pullman?
Oh, on the field, at the BTO, at Bailey Brayton, our field. We celebrate it here together. I'm not a big go out guy, so we kind of celebrate in the locker room and at the facility.
Cool. And what's the best way to get pumped up before a game for yourself and then also to share that with your team?
Ooh, well, I will. For me, I stay pretty level headed, but the music that these guys blast on a game day, I mean, I don't. Some of the lyrics I don't even understand. So the music that they listen to in the locker room, that's what gets them in feet.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah. You hear it when you go early and it's blasting, and they're like,
Oh,
oh, okay.
yeah. I mean, hey, I love our guys, but some of the music that they listen to is bad. I mean, I love them to death, but some guys listen to some bad music, in my opinion. But I'm like classic rock or
I
country.
was
I'm
just
I'm
going to
pretty
say,
yeah, I'm
yeah.
pretty basic.
um, who's your favorite WSU athlete of all time?
Ooh, John Olerud.
Hmm.
That
Yeah.
was an easy one. Played in the big leagues. There's a national award named the John Olerud Award, which is for the National Two-Way Player of the Year. Growing up as a baseball fan, when I was young, that's when he was in his prime. So yeah, definitely John Olerud.
Awesome. And then the last one, if you could have anyone come give a pep talk to your team, dead or alive, who would it be?
Bobo Brayton, who was the coach here for a long time, historic coach. Every alumni that played for him, speaks so highly of him. I would definitely say Bobo would be the person to come speak to the Coug baseball team.
Awesome. You survived rapid fire. Great job.
Whew, whew, I mean, I'll tell you what, we've had some tough moments this year in some games, but that might be the most pressure I've had right there since I've been at WSU.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so I this as people are listening to this episode in real time, it will come out after the season. But if you catch this episode in the future or if you just really want to plan ahead, I want you to come and support this team and come and support Nathan and his family both in Pullman but also his family of players as well. So where's the best place to direct people listening to this episode where we can support the baseball program?
Yeah, if you go to WSUCougs.com, if you go to the website and you can find tickets on there. I really think our student athletes, the way that they play is a little bit old school. They play together as a group. They play hard. They're a fun group to watch. If you're looking for a fun family environment to watch good quality baseball, I think coming out and watching our players, supporting our student athletes, supporting Cougs, I think it's definitely worth your money, especially how we play. Can't guarantee a win every time you come. That's not the way athletics works, but we do play the game the right way. We play hard. We play together. And so, I know our guys would love everybody's support.
Awesome. Thank you so much for coming on the show and sharing more of you with us. And we're just so lucky to have you at WSU in Pullman. And I just really appreciate you, Nathan. Thank you so much.
I appreciate it, and go Cougs.
Go Cougs.